Economics, Standard 12, Unit 7, International Economics Continued, Terms and Types of Trade. We learned the importance of trade and then the differences between internal trade and international trade. Now let us learn the terms and types of trade. The gains from international trade depend upon the terms of trade, which refers to the ratio of export prices to import prices. So the ratio of export prices to import prices. So the terms of trade. Terms of trade. So a relationship between, that is, export prices and import prices. It is the rate at which the goods of one country is just mentioned. It is expressed as the relation between export prices and import prices. So terms of trade improves when, that is, average price of exports is higher than average price of imports. So when average price of exports are higher than average price of imports, then the terms of trade is really has improved. That is, terms of trade, general. He has classified the terms of trade in different concepts. So according to him, terms of trade related to the rate of exchange between commodities, one thing. Rate of exchange between commodities. Second, terms of trade related to the interchange between productive resources. So the first terms of trade related to the ratio of exchange between commodities. So according to that, that is rate of interchange of what we call it as exchange between commodities. So the terms of trade can be divided into three: net barter terms of trade, and gross barter terms of trade, and third, income terms of trade. Net barter terms of trade and gross barter terms of trade were given by Taussig in 1927. So net barter terms of trade. And second, that is what we call it is gross barter terms of trade. Gross barter terms of trade. Both were given by Taussig in 1927. So there are three classifications under ratio of exchange between commodities. So first one is net barter terms of trade, and second, gross barter terms of trade, and third, income terms of trade given by G.S. Dorrance. So what is net barter terms of trade? So Taussig developed this net barter terms of trade, so that you have to first remember. So that is, Taussig just gave this classification, I mean net barter terms of trade. Given by Taussig in 1927. So according to this net barter terms of trade, remember the ratio between the prices of exports and the imports, ratio between the prices of exports and imports is called the net barter terms of trade. We know that is just named it as the commodity terms of trade. We know just named it as the commodity terms of trade. So it is expressed as that is PN. PN equal to automatically P, prices of goods, divided by PM and into 100. So the net barter terms of trade is expressed Tn equal to Px divided by Pm into 100. So what is Tn? Net barter terms of trade. And Px, index number of export prices. And Pm, that is index number of import prices. So that is net barter terms of trade given by Taussig in 1927. Second, and I remember it is greater than, if Tn is greater than 100, then it is a favorable terms of trade, which will mean that for a rupee of export, more of imports can be just received by a country. So if it is more than 100, Tn is more than 100 means it is a favorable terms of trade. Okay, second, gross barter terms of trade. That also was given by Taussig. Gross barter terms of trade. Terms of trade given by Taussig, same in 1927. So according to gross barter terms of trade, automatically you can remember this. This was developed by Taussig in 1927. It is of course an improvement over the net barter terms of trade. And it is an index of relationship between total physical quantity of imports and the total physical quantity of exports. An index of relationship between total physical quantity of imports and the total physical quantities of exports. So it can be just expressed as Tg equal to, so what would have been then? Quantity of M divided by quantity of X into 100. So this you have to remember. So quantity of M, that represents index of import quantities, and quantity Qx, index of export quantities. If for a given quantity of export, more quantity of import can be consumed by a country, then one can say that terms of trade are favorable. The third one is income terms of trade. The income terms of trade was given by G.S. Dorrance in 1948. Income terms of trade. Given by G.S. Dorrance in 1948. And according to him, that is, it is the index of the value of exports divided by the price index for imports multiplied by quantity index of exports. So it is the net barter terms of trade of a country multiplied by its exports minus volume index. T1 equal to Px divided by Pm into Qx. So Ty equal to Px divided by Pm into Qx. So whereas, just remember, Px is price index of exports and Pm price index of imports and Qx quantity index of exports. So this is income terms of trade. Now according to the terms of trade, the second one is related to the interchange between productive resources. So the terms of trade related to the interchange between productive resources. So according to the productive resources, there are two types just given by Vino. So productive resources given by Vino. So according to him, there are two types. One is the single factor terms of trade and second one is double factor terms of trade. Both are given by Vino. So single factor terms of trade. Factor. So single factor terms of trade So what is single factorial terms of trade? Wiener has devised another concept called the single factorial terms of trade. It is an improvement over the commodity terms of trade, and it represents the ratio of export price index to the import price index adjusted for changes in the productivity of a country's factors in the production of exports. So remember, that is price index of export and price index of import adjusted for the productivity of a country's factors in the production of exports. That means TF equal to PX divided by PM into FX. T, that is, so you have to remember TF. Okay, TF equal to, and automatically you have to remember that what is PX. So PX divided by PM into FX. So we know what is TF. So TF is nothing but it stands for single factorial terms of trade index, and FX stands for productivity in exports. And the second one is double factorial terms of trade. Both were just given by Wiener. So the first one is single factorial terms of trade, and the second one is double factorial terms of trade. So according to double factorial terms of trade, you have to just think of that is what is double factorial. Another index of Wiener that was given by double factorial terms of trade. So according to double factorial, so the single factor, we just saw TF alone into PX divided by PM into FX. But here double factor, T double F equal to. So T double F equal to PX divided by PM into, then what would have been the next? FX divided by FM. FX divided by FM. So this is what we call it as double factorial terms of trade. So here FM represents import index measured of the, that is index cost in terms of quantity of factors of production employed per unit of imports. So that's we have to remember in our mind. So what is FM? It represents import index measured in the index of cost in terms of quantity of factors of production employed per unit of imports. So now we have just learned the important terms of trade in two different ways. And the second one is, that is between productive resources, we have single factorial, that is terms of trade, and double factorial terms of trade. Simple difference is single factorial TF is equal to PX divided by PM into FX. But in double factorial factors terms of trade, we have T double F equal to PX divided by PM into FX divided by FM. And we have balance of trade and balance of payment and so on. But we'll learn the rest in the next class.